2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Just doing my thing.
Welcome to the Voice of C38 podcast. I am Brendan Wyatt. This is the Rapids podcast for supporters and fans by the supporters and fans.
Oh,
How about that? Today's topics, we're going to start off talking about that win against RSL. Kind of a big thing there.
not just a win.
Then we'll have some post-game interviews with
Bitch slap.
Howard Miller and interim coach Cookie, or Steve Cooke. Speaking of Gat, he's starting to get some notice by everybody else now. Like, people are even talking captain's armband, maybe?
What?
So we'll have a discussion about that in a little bit.
Heard that about a 0-2.
Yeah, well, people are fishing. I don't know why, but we'll have a discussion about that. Of course, we got to talk about the Columbus move and how that might affect us. Because it kind of does, maybe a little bit.
You think?
Yeah. And then Colin the intern's got some facts and stats that he can't wait to share with us. He's keeping it to himself a little bit. And then, Matt is put in the work for Know Thy Enemy.
We'll see.
Leading us up to the Seattle game, the final game of the season. They are away for that one. We've got all that to chat about with the full crew today. So, Brian.
Aloha. This is not Brendan Wyatt.
Matt.
Do I have to say hi?
There we go.
Apparently that's what Austin thinks I was going to say.
Yeah, I saw it.
The nice little script there. Colin.
I'm going off script for this one.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, mute.
Jeez, you gotta
Intern
write the
thinks
board
he's
with
got
you
the guts to go talking bad about us now.
Put him back.
Not
Senior-
following scripts.
Put him back in the corner.
If us charter members can't go off script, why does the intern get to?
That's it. You're going back to the corner. And Austin, or the drunken muck.
Well met.
Which, by the way, was funny. Azira thought that was hilarious.
The well met part?
Drunken Monk.
Oh, the drunken
Oh, yeah,
monk.
he did.
Yeah.
He loved it.
He's like, oh, man.
He made a couple. He giggled about it a couple of times.
Yeah, he
I
did.
saw.
Kept pointing at it like,
Yeah.
oh, that's funny.
Speaking of him, that was our first autograph session ever.
Where we actually got to sign something.
Where he
Super
wanted
hard
our
to sign on a
autographs.
scarf, man.
Yeah, more respect for the players.
Right.
That sucks trying to sign a scarf.
I did. I was thinking about that later. Like, how many scarves do you have to sign until you figure out how to sign a scarf without, like, hold on a second. This is going to take a minute.
Yeah, like connect the
You
dots.
have to stretch that fabric so tight that it doesn't bunch up under your pen.
And then you hand it back to the kid. Don't wash this.
Yeah,
Just
don't
like
accidentally leave
just
this
like a
on
belly
bus or
shirt at a
something.
theme park.
Right. This was the part where Austin was supposed to change the graphic for the 5 people watching us on the feed.
See, I can't even. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we stopped it because it was messing with you guys.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about that game.
Before we get into that game,
yeah?
can I just say that was the most gangster way we could have handled that?
It was.
I mean, can we just appreciate how fucking gangster that was? I mean, that was just fucking awesome.
Listeners, you can't see it. Matt's pouring one out.
Yeah. Yep. A little bit for the homies.
Let's see if I can make this a little louder. I forget what channel I'm on.
Is this that song from?
Office Space?
Yes. I love when they're bashing the shit out of the computer.
Damn, it feels good to be a rapid. Real gangster ass rapids don't give. Real gangsta ass rapids don't care if it's bleak. A real gangsta ass rapid doesn't slow the fucking fight because real gangsta ass rapids know you're weak. A real gangsta ass rapid don't read stats. 2 shots to 30 didn't win them. Take 30 more shots, it ain't gonna fucking help you because that gangsta rapid named Tim. And everything's confused in the western half. We'll take them on no matter how you blend them. Because real gangsta-ass rapids don't have playoff hope, so real gangsta-ass rapids fucking end them.
Yeah.
And all I gotta say to you wannabe SLC fake royalty motherfuckers, no matter how Mulholland flopped around and acted, you'll be spending Thanksgiving with your 20 sister wives. Damn, it feels good to be a rapid.
Word.
That.
I love it.
We might have to,
I love it.
set some time later on in the week where we can redo that
There
and
we
just
go.
have it just that little bit of a minute and a half flawlessly.
That
And
should
we'll
be-
just post
It
it out.
will never be flawless.
as flawless as Matt can get it, right?
Long
No,
as I'm
that
in
wasn't
front of
too bad.
people.
Let's just make that the lead-in for
know what?
off season.
It's
like
a
every
victory.
episode.
Proud to be a Rapid.
It's a victory to me that I didn't say the N-word at all.
Oh, nice.
Because the first couple of run-throughs,
You went, oh, how'd that get in there?
because I know the real lyrics too, you know.
Right.
I love that scene.
Shouldn't
in
drop
Office
nice
Space.
guy whenever you want him, okay?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Anyway, Austin put in the script that Matt does Matt things, so that's what came up.
Yep.
Nice. That was a good Matt thing.
Thank
hey, thank you for being you.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not the same when there's no Matt. We are celebrating
Do I have to say hi?
because even though we are out of the playoffs and there really isn't a trophy or anything else coming home, playing spoiler part is kind of fun,
It was
especially when
fun.
you've done it 3 times in a row.
It's fun for us, but I don't want LA to get any ideas.
It was fun for Josh Gatt, and that was even more
Well-
fun for us.
I toyed with, damn, it feels good to be a Gatster.
There you go.
That would have been good.
And the Happy Gilmore
Pony
to the
Rider.
capture the corner flag. I kept trying to like get people's attention around me, like look, he's totally Josh in the like. I mean, that was awesome.
He made
to
a beeline. Like
Yeah, he
was
knew
going-
exactly what he was
Right
doing.
to the RSL.
And
was so
he
awesome.
he was quoted later saying, "Yeah, that was totally planned. I
Yeah.
was just waiting for the right time." And
The
both
time
of
when he
Gad's
scored a goal.
goals have come against RSL, which is kind of even a little bit more of an irony to the situation. But he definitely talked the talk and walked the walk. And
Well, I'd like to see that from a new player that's was playing on the other side. Like he was playing in the east, and coming here and still taking the rivalry seriously like that is
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
You can tell Gatt's a guy. I almost said kid compared to us, but he's a guy that I mean, he's been around, so he knows how big matches go and rivalries go, and people forget that. You know where he's been and what he's played in.
even though it doesn't seem like he's had a whole lot of minutes, he's still been a part of clubs, and he's still been he's
been in those environments
he's
and
no
those
rookie.
cultures.
But I mean, I said it when he first came to the team. I love this guy's attitude. I love his
Yeah.
demeanor. I love just he brings something to this team in this locker room that I feel like we need.
And he's
I
a
said
quirky
it
dude.
back then when he,
He
got
reminds
traded.
me of a more mature Cerna.
Oh, I don't know if I'd go mature.
Yeah, no, just vocal. Cerna's
Well,
a very
maybe
reserved
outgoing.
and,
Yeah,
and kind
maybe
of
an
held
outgoing
back
Cerna.
kind of guy, but Gad is just almost the opposite of that. But they're still very technical and gifted on the ball and on the field, but their personalities are almost the opposite. But that's not to say that there's anything bad with either one. I mean,
Yeah,
just
difference okay. I mean,
Gad's a mouth, and you need one.
yeah.
And he's not just a good mouth to talk to when it comes to us as reporters and post game stuff and getting good quotes. He'll yell at a guy on the field too.
Yep.
He's got no problem. I've seen him do it in training, and it's hilarious. But he can be a motivator, and
Yeah.
this will lead to a bit of a discussion we'll have a little bit later on. But I'm not new to the GAT train. I've been trying to drive this thing since he got traded. So it's just good to see that he's getting time, he's getting minutes, and
I'm not giving him the armband, but
no, but I think the question
Not
we
to steal
should
your
ask
thunder.
about Gat is, do you protect him
yes.
coming, with the expansion draft and stuff like that?
Far ahead you're jumping right now.
Oh, no, I'm
My
just
bad.
saying,
Chew on
Damn
that.
it,
Chew on
Brian.
that for the audience.
we got some time to bring that back, and there is a chat room here, so
I thought I was on mute.
let them let them meddle in it. As far as the game goes, Gangster is true because we got that goal, and it was not like it was a pretty fucking great goal, and we put
And,
some.
yeah, that back heel from Gordon. That's exactly the creativity we've lacked. Mm-hmm. Knowing what to do with that ball and having somebody there to receive it.
Or
is-
just trying it.
It's professional
You know?
level.
Yeah.
Finally.
Well, and do you think that came from the guys just being able to be free and be creative up top and just,
I think it's reins off like, let's just do it.
yep.
I've said since the first post, Pablo, it's going to take time to undo whatever was done.
And that was a little teaser when I talked to Steve Cooke today. And everybody stay tuned to the website and also to our podcast. We'll have some audio and articles on it too.
You
but
got to hear Steve Cook rap.
he is amazing. But he even alluded to the fact that, it took a while to figure out, okay, this is how we need to start playing. Enough of what was. Now it's time to do something different. And I think that's what you're seeing. Absolutely, was guys who are a little more free to express or make mistakes or just try things. And that comes from that. I think a lot of that comes from him. But again, just a teaser. Sorry.
But I also felt like towards the end there, as we were playing defense, and trying to hold on to a 1-goal lead, there was some, for a lack of better words, Pabloisms that had me a little like, oh, great.
We parked the bus pretty early,
I mean,
too.
And it
that
wasn't
kind of annoying.
it wasn't by choice, and we'll hear that, but it was by necessity.
And the last 15 minutes were another coronary-inducing affair.
Yeah. God, and when they flashed 6 minutes of extra time,
What the fuck was 6 minutes?
No.
I just went, oh my God.
Can I guess my one takeaway was, again, it was pro. I feel like
They don't
they
want
did
us to win.
everything they could to keep RSL in that game so they could get that point. I mean, they were doing everything except give us a PK, which I thought might have happened.
It nearly did.
Yeah,
You're right.
And meanwhile, and this is kind of foreshadowing some of Cullen the intern's work that I put him to, but just the fouls were,
Like when we texted.
versus what's called versus what's not called. That's never going to be a stat. There's never going to be a stat that says fouls that should have been called.
Next
and that's
season-
where you wish the accountability would come in. But
Yeah.
I mean, if
Next
Gordon's
season, Colin the intern, that's his one job.
is fouls only,
Fouls versus fouls not called.
yeah, fouls
Just
not
bring
called.
your paper out, and you can just take
Yep.
a note of each call that wasn't made that should have been all year long.
Thanks for volunteering, Colin.
So slowly drink
And
that
under
beautiful
the bus.
whiskey at the tailgate.
Yeah,
don't pound it. But anyway, there definitely was a bias being shown, and when you're only tracking calls for and calls against, it doesn't have to necessarily show that bias on paper that it does when you're experiencing it. And it definitely, I mean, when Gordon goes out and needs stitches and VAR isn't going to do anything, and there's not going to be anything from a disciplinary committee.
Unless it's Watts.
Right,
and
unless
he gets
it's
a
us.
double
I mean,
suspension
there's
for a yellow card.
Right, there's nothing that, like, the MLS isn't going to come out and say, oh, that was bad, or anything. They were trying hard to make sure that this team came away from Colorado with a point.
Then they would have.
Well, I will agree. The refs definitely affected the game, but also RSL had 30 shots to our single digits.
Two.
So
2 we had.
30-2.
2.
We had the one that counted.
It only took one.
exactly, but again, it's one of those stats where it's like, wow.
It's all right.
But after
mean,
the
I don't think
last
it's
few
all right.
years, are you
Despite what I said
surprised?
before, it's not all
I mean,
right.
maybe you're surprised because a certain coach is gone, but are you really that surprised?
But look at the
I'm
way
more
they
like,
were playing.
okay, 30 shots. How the fuck did they fire off 30 shots? Now, I know that they were definitely pushing, trying, to get something in at the end there. I mean, we had a 5 in the back, but 30 shots is peppering them. And
It
you know,
is.
I mean,
But they were
good on
playing-
Tim.
They were
for-
playing 10 in the attacking half. I mean, they had no. If you look down there, a lot of that game, nobody was back behind half. They had their defenders in front of.
I was waiting for Nana just to look up and put one over Ramondo.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's all it would have took for that second goal. And why we didn't do it, man, fuck, I don't know. But
Hey, we still know the save of the week should be going to Hairston.
Yes.
that entire
That save
play,
was
I
insane.
mean, he did
Yeah.
more than just a save. I mean, that was like 3 saves all in a row.
That was calling a man of the match right after that.
Yeah, that was Manly of the match for
Which
sure.
I'm glad you gave him the recognition.
Yeah, he
deserved.
totally deserved that.
He at least got the belt. for the
If
day.
anything, we should try to figure out how to get it in the budget for a little like Manly of the match trophy.
Well, I'll tell you what. I found where I can buy about 12 of those little championship belts.
Oh yeah,
They're
Like wrestling?
We'll talk. Yeah.
He's motioning a
the
WWE
one-
style wrestling belt.
Did you see the one? The picture I posted with Doyle where I gave it to him?
No.
Oh my God.
I might have. It was a long time ago.
No, it was recently.
Okay. No.
Anyway, yeah. Well,
All right, we might have to make a
Brian's got a
manly of the
gold-laced
match.
belt guy that he can consult. I know a guy.
I know a guy who knows a guy.
my daughter with hot glue and rhinestones is money.
Okay, knows a girl who knows a girl.
Yeah.
There we go. So my final, I mean, and we briefly, I mean, we talked, not briefly, we did talk about Gat, and I feel like he was kind of also a bit of the hero of the game offensively, and then Marley defensively. Marley's not a surprise, and to me, neither is Gat, and ideally, we'd like to see them both here next year.
I think you will.
I'd like to also see some changes come from pro, but that probably isn't ever going to happen.
I think we won't.
What's Marley's contract situation?
Well,
I
this
think
is year 4
He's
for
still
him.
under, isn't he?
This is his
I thought he
fourth year.
signed last year.
I think he did, yeah. So I think he's under contract for next year.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
At least.
Maybe our intern can look that up and give us an answer
God,
later.
what did we
in the
pay him
cast.
for? Let's go.
My entire budget
Well, if
is
you
going
want to
to
pay
an
me,
intern.
maybe I'll be quick on the go here.
Checks in the mail, bro.
Well, you didn't even follow script already, so we would have already fired you.
You didn't even make it through a full show.
Yeah,
Way to hold your own.
fine. Speaking
Final
of script,
thoughts. Yeah. Any other final thoughts,
Matt-
guys? As
Matt
we-
Any
said it all.
win against RSL is a
Yeah.
great win.
That's all I could hope for. After what this season's been, that was just the best way to end it.
Yeah, and you'll hear some audio here soon and the players, and I know fans don't always think that these guys care as much as they do or pay much attention to the passion of the fans. I can guarantee they absolutely do, especially with Steve Cooke as a head coach, and you're going to hear why.
And the after the game stuff was awesome.
Yeah, wasn't
The
that cool?
The fan appreciation.
Yeah,
where
Austin and I got to
Howard
give
came
Josh
over to
Gaddis
108, which was really
awards.
cool.
And he has kids with
Podgy
him.
went to 117, and then the whole or giving away stuff. Like
Did you say
Doyle
I'm
was
sorry,
there,
or
or
something? Sorry, I had audio difficulties.
Austin breaks up sometimes.
True. Or
Did you guys want to touch on that briefly before we do some of the interviews? Did you
Austin
want
and
to
I got
talk
to
about
give-
the oars?
That was
Austin and I
super
got to
cool.
give Gat his oars. His one from September and his one from that night.
what?
That was pretty cool.
Baji had
he was
3 of
awesome.
them.
Yeah.
Is that right? The picture I saw.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did Mike DeFont get one? Colin, did you give him
I
one?
don't know.
Yeah. Come on.
You got the
intern.
wooden spoon.
Where were you at?
Colin,
The
hello?
wooden spoon for Thug of the Year. We didn't give it to Gordon. We gave it to DeFont. There should be a Thug of the Year, a wooden spoon.
We're gonna do our own postseason awards.
There we
next.
Well, the voices.
Bang.
Oh, yeah.
The voices.
Genius.
That thing you excluded me from last year.
We
I
will
remember.
not exclude you from the voices this year.
Genius.
Invented and excluded. Invented without me, then excluded me from it.
Yep.
That hurt.
Thank you,
It
now
came
be
up
gone.
accidentally, and it will not ever happen again. You will always be a part of the voices.
Nice.
Okay. Anyway.
Well, hey, are you gonna go on some interviews then?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to hear from Cookie. Yeah.
Hopefully.
All right. Cue it up, yo.
I'm getting there. So, what we're going to do, this is the first 3 bits we're going to hear is basically Steve Cooke and Tim Howard and Eric Miller. Basically, what happened was, just to set this up a little, before the match, Tim gave a pregame, to kind of reiterate to the players the importance of the game, but importance to the fans of the game. And there's some neat things said. So again, all those fans who don't think that these guys care about them or that these guys pay attention to the fans of, opinions or who's in the stands, I think you're really going to this will be kind of an eye opener for them. So first off is Steve Cooke in the post-game presser talking about Tim giving his pregame speech.
Tribute to the fans tonight because of the effort the players put in was for them, the commitment that the players made to each other and to the game, the integrity that the players showed was for the fans to say thank you. Tim Howard gave a great speech to the players beforehand about giving to the fans and about making certain that we honoured their loyalty, their patience, and their support all the way through the season. And I couldn't be happier that we were able to get them 3 points tonight and give them something just to feel good about ahead of going into more home games next season. And 2018 is going to be an exciting year for us, and I hope the fans come back out and support us, because we're going to need every single one of them.
So pretty good stuff.
Every single one of them, plus a friend.
Yeah, BYO, bring your own friend.
BYOF.
And then Eric Miller was asked a little bit about kind of the details of that conversation in pregame, so he's going to touch real quick on it as well.
Yeah, I thought what Tim said was really important. It was basically just the people who are tonight are really the true fans that have been with us the whole time. Obviously, there's the Broncos game, whatever going on, and all that stuff. So there's the people that are at the stadium are people that really care about the Rapids. Yeah. They're really committed, so let's make sure we put on a good show for them. Obviously, it was the prettiest game ever, but we grinded. We got 3 points, and we're probably going to keep our rival out of the playoffs now. So there's not a lot more that we could have given the fans. And obviously, some more goals would have been great, but I think we're really happy to, obviously couldn't win the Rocky Mountain Cup, but to sort of put a nail in the coffin on their season, hopefully would be a nice one for us.
There you go. So
it didn't have to be pretty.
No, exactly.
The ship has sailed on pretty soccer a long time ago.
Thanks. Super fans Millers, that was your son on our cast.
Yes, Susan and Mike, big
Do they
shout
still
out.
listen?
Just in case you haven't heard his voice in a while, we provided it for
Exactly.
Do they
you.
still listen?
And
'Cause I haven't
P.S.
heard
Thank
from
you
them
for
a
sticking with us.
Exactly. Yeah, Susan still listens. She
while. Awesome.
replies now and then. Okay, the next we're going to hear from the man himself. So he kind of gave us a little bit of insight on what he said, minus the F-bombs and things like that. But
Damn it.
I know. I told him he could include
This,
them, but
you
same
know,
thing.
The Broncos are playing today, same time as us. It's been a tough season. Anybody who's bought a ticket tonight to put their butt in that seat is down for us through thick and thin. And it's fan appreciation night, but they've been with us all season. And, we come in here, for a lot of games, we're heartbroken. We've given our all. They come and pay good money and give their all and support us. And we're in this together. And last home game against our biggest rival, they brought a bunch of fans, thought it was going to be a party. And, I think that galvanized the team. There really was a great crowd for this point in the season and for such a tough season.
Yeah?
Pretty
Yeah,
cool,
for such a tough season, plus with the Broncos, it was...
It was almost kind of
Not
like a kick in the
great
ass
crowd.
from MLS scheduling. Like, oh, yeah, let's reschedule your last home game against your rivals right an hour before the Donkeys kick off.
And originally, that wasn't the original kickoff time.
No, it wasn't.
No,
They
apparently
moved
it was
it to
3.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about that at the tailgate, but I can't remember when or why they moved it.
Just to fuck with us.
Who knows? But, and, I mean, that just kind of showed me what kind of guy we've got in goal. I mean, honestly, gang, we are so lucky to have him. Regardless of what you think, if he has a stinker of a game or a stinker of a half.
He's pretty gangster.
That dude is amazing.
Well, and he could have easily not played in this game after getting, kicked out of the World Cup. Basically, he could have easily stepped back and been like, I'm not ready to play. It's only been 2 days since. That's a traumatizing experience. Look at what happened to Gabby Torres.
Yeah, and Tim came back and was in practice right away. There wasn't any.
Speaking of that, there was only one starter that was out there today training.
Yeah.
Tim. Just say it. Anyway.
And
he also got.
Austin's car alarm's going off.
I was like, what's
Cut
going
around,
on?
stealing my car.
Colin's
So
stealing
he
the
also
car.
came over and accepted the first gift from a fan base, from what I was told.
Really?
When he accepted the Defensive Player of the Year award, and he's the only player to have a season ticket holder scarf, the thing he was wearing as a bandana in his interview. It's the only scarf I had on me, so that's what he got.
You get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Don't.
Yeah, that was cool. He put it
And
on
he was really nice about it.
Yeah.
So,
and kind of still along the lines of him, we talked to Cooke about in the post game, maybe touching base on how well just defensively the effort against Salt Lake was. Because I thought Axel and Courtney as center backs were super solid, and also some of the play that Tim had, and he made some really Steve made some really interesting observations or put things in context with Tim. I thought I'd play that for you guys too. So here we go.
The whole team defensively were very good, and I would definitely pick out the back 6 players, not including Tim yet, but the back 4 plus the 2 in central midfield, I think did a really, really solid job tonight. And if you think back early in the game, a couple of sliding stops that Marlon Hairston made, and you look at players like Courtney and Axel and Eric Miller putting their bodies on the line in front of goal and really doing a great job of solidifying things in front of Tim. Now, that being said, Tim Howard, as he always will, pulled off, in my opinion, 3-4 saves that were absolutely the top level of goalkeeper in the world. Not MLS. This is the top level kind of goalkeeper in the world. He, along with others, have been in the media this week. There are a lot of people who have opinions who aren't on the field with them. And it's been difficult for them, I'm sure. And I know that Tim was absolutely devastated. And they care deeply about their international team. But a real champion doesn't hide because he could have done. A real champion stands up, comes out the next day, starts training, start working towards the weekend, and they become the leader of the team. And I know one thing for certain, Tim Howard was not going to let Salt Lake score tonight, and he wasn't going to let us leave here with anything less than 3 points. And I admire him greatly. He's got great years left in him. He's a fantastic professional, and I think he's exemplary in his professionalism, not only for this team but for the national team. And I think his international career should go on right until the time Tim Howard decides that he doesn't want to play anymore.
Who says Tim Howard gets to decide? I decide.
Because that's the Highland way. Pretty strong statements.
I mean, if
I'll arm
anything,
wrestle him for it.
Tim was right there next to Matt with the blue and white face paint.
Yeah.
Not today.
Not today.
He might be angry I gave Hairston the hero role in that.
Oh yeah, he might.
Bit.
I won't tell him.
And I meant it too. Hairston kicked ass.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. One more little bit up. I want to play, and I'll pipe down and turn this thing off. I had asked Steve, kind of as defensive as it had gotten to end that, as the first half finished up. What did you say in the second half before they went out? Again, he had some kind of some neat things to say about playing for the crowd and the Rapids fans in general. So here's this real quick, and then we'll wrap it up.
At half time, which is typically 5 minutes, was there's no way we're coming out of here tonight without a win. We're going to do everything we possibly can, whatever it took to get a win. And we've got people playing with smashed ribs. We've got people playing with injuries. We've had 2 guys carried off. Alan Gordon's got a gash in his leg that's going to need stitches. And the idea that it takes whatever you need to do to win. I told the guys before the game that this was our playoffs. This was our MLS Cup. This is not just another game. This was our playoffs. And I think for the young players to taste that atmosphere in what was, for me, a must-win game, however you do it, to taste that atmosphere for the young players is going to stand them in great stead for future years. Courtney Ford's 21 years old and is a homegrown player, and to play centre-back in a clean sheet against the top team in a playoff-type setting is going to stand him in great stead for the future. What a great learning experience, for not only for him but for all the players. And I know what this team is capable of next year. That's where we want to be as well.
There you go, huh? That got you fired up?
No, I love that that's, all great and all, but in hindsight, there were several must-win games that we didn't win. But, it's not as easy as saying we can't lose.
Well, I think the difference is these boys now are playing soccer. Before they were playing chess on the soccer field.
I don't know the difference. I've always said soccer is chess.
Right, but that's the
that's
problem.
That's why stupid people don't like soccer.
There was a missing communication between the two.
Yeah.
And these guys are just back to playing soccer at the end of the season.
It's almost like they were playing not to lose before, and now it's like
they're just playing. And
they also, I think a lot of it has to do with they're riding a little bit of a momentum train right now towards the end of the season.
Absolutely,
We've been
yeah.
doing better. And if we'd done this well all season, you'd be fighting for a playoff spot.
Well, yeah, there's no argument there.
Sure.
I also think that it's kind of fun to kick your rivals in the teeth. I mean, they've done it to two of them now. You know,
They did it to us. They ended our home streak.
You know, I mean, we did it to now Salt Lake and Dallas.
Yeah.
I
I think
mean,
that
if you
was
think
Easter,
about
too.
it, and in a weird way, they could have gone for the quadfecta with Seattle coming up.
Did you just make that word up?
I did.
That's nice. I like it.
The quadfecta.
Before I forget, because this audio with Tim, nobody else really heard any of this. Do you guys want to hear one more little bit?
Dude, if we have the opportunity to be exclusive,
Let me ask the audience. They say yes.
Okay, this is just a little more on the RSL match from Tim Howard. Your captain.
For now.
Well, I think you got that right. Football is you don't want to defend for such long periods of time.
85 minutes.
But the other side of that coin is when you're asked to defend. Hey, sometimes you got to roll up your sleeve and sleeves and put the work in. And whether that's for 10 minutes or whether a storm or 85 minutes, it's what's asked of you. Mike Pecky's got them playing a really good brand of attacking football. Sometimes we have to defend a lot. It's a credit to the team for putting you on the back foot. And but as you said, I thought we were resilient. We soaked up a ton of pressure, a ton of free kicks, corner kicks, and man, I mean, they got some knocks and some bumps and bruises.
Yeah, for sure.
30 fucking shots.
Yup. There you go.
I always interpret that as,
out.
why do I have to work so much harder than the other guy? The other goalie only had 2.
I wonder if that's the most shots in a game this season by any team.
Get on it, Mr. Keyboard.
Intern.
We need sound bites and drops. We're this is what we're going to be doing in the off season to make next year's cast that much better. Yep. So that way, every time we just punch this little
On
thing,
Brian's mute button too.
when Colin hears the little news break thing, he knows that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Colin,
So there you go. Yeah.
as we kind of segue into
Good one.
a little bit of he kind of brought up the GAT discussion as far as the captaincy goes, and would this be somebody that we'd want to see wear the armband? Is this a mentality that we want to have with the armband? And it's weird because one of the questions that I was asked to ask Michael Azera at the tailgate was about the armband, and I want to ask the question back to the fan base. Why are we looking for a new captain?
We shouldn't be. We've got one.
Just putting it out there. Answer
Yeah.
me that. But Colin, go ahead. Take it away.
Well, the main discussion here is, would we ever see Josh Gatt as captain? And I got to say, for me, I don't think there is a player that I have changed my opinion on in a good way as much as I have for Josh Gatt. I think especially in the last couple of games, he has been outstanding. And you got a little taste of it in the interview with how he's kind of already gotten into that rivalry. And I think a lot of that positive mentality that he brings to it, I think he would be a good choice for captain. Now, we were talking about it a little earlier, too, with, do we need a new captain? Not necessarily. I'm not a huge fan of having a goalkeeper as a captain. But that's just me.
Is there a
But
reason
I could
for that?
definitely see. Well, I could definitely see Gatt being the captain in a few years. Definitely.
Okay,
But-
yeah, I guess that would be assuming that he's the kind of guy that we want to lock down and keep for a few years.
I personally think yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, good.
For sure.
But to answer your question on why I don't want to see a goalkeeper as a captain, I feel like you would need someone more in the midfield, closer to the overall action, because you're going to be seeing a little bit better. And Howard, he knows how to control the back line, the back 4 or 6, depending on how you look at it. But you wouldn't have Howard be giving the forward or the strikers and the wingers real instruction.
But does a captain need to do that really anymore, especially at this
No.
level?
If anything, he's more kind of there to step in,
Yeah.
chat with the ref if need be.
That's pretty much all I see them as.
I mean, you're not
Well,
going to see
there's the
Tim
locker
run.
room captain, and then there's the field captain. Tim can be the locker room
And
captain.
there's a lot of
like he's good
politics
at
involved with
Yeah.
captains too
Wait,
that you've got to think about with the team. Like it might not always be the best leadership role. It might be a DP because they get the biggest salary, and like there's a lot of politics in captains, not only in the locker room, but I'm sure the front office can have an opinion on captain as well.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure that obviously some of it, especially now, it comes down to Tim's experience, and that nobody else is experienced as Tim is, so that's kind of almost a given, and that's why he's got it, as well as we can continue to chat about who could be next captain or who would be a captain when Tim's not around, but even that's going to change now that there is no World Cup. So
don't bring
it
that
got
up.
canceled?
I don't want to cry again.
I love it.
no, it was the one that in Qatar. That's the one that should get canceled.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But quick side note: the funniest thing I heard about the whole thing was it was the U.S.'s way to boycott without having to get Trump involved.
Yeah, where did we hear that?
It was just a comment that I read, and I thought it was the funniest thing. It was the most pessimistic, optimistic
Yeah.
way of looking at it. Like,
Talk about a conspiracy theory.
yeah, right. Like, we're not going to go to
Tinfoil
Russia.
hat
Screw this.
crap.
We're just going to lose.
and to get an entire team in on the plane.
Right.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to do it is to score on yourself. I mean, how else are you going to lose to Trinidad and Tobago?
Pulisic, what are you doing scoring a goal?
Right?
What's
Tell
wrong
that
with you?
kid we got to lose this
Yeah.
one. He's going to get to go to a World Cup. Don't worry. It'll just be in the desert.
In
Anyway.
December.
A big sandbox.
I digress.
Speaking of moving,
Yeah.
I think we're going to discuss Columbus next.
Oh, they're talking about me. I'm looking for a place.
Right. Yeah. I'll rent out my basement, dude. Yeah, Columbus broke out this morning, record day Tuesday, with the news of that they might move to Austin in 2019 if they can't get a new stadium built, which the more you read it, and depending on who the reporting link is or
Fake news.
fake news, it almost sounds like they're really not staying in Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Is it a threat or is it a done deal?
Well, Lexi Lala says threat. Just threats happen all the time.
But the more I read about it, it sounds like it's kind of been almost all but done.
Like it's
Like it
too
was
little too late
Yeah,
at this point.
exactly. And it sounds like there were people who tried to keep the team in Columbus, but the owner already had his mindset.
Check
Yeah, like
signed.
I don't know who it was, but someone in like their government officials or something had
The mayor or
tweeted
something, wasn't it?
or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was the
he was
mayor.
like they didn't
Yeah.
approach us or anything,
Wow.
and this is
Oh,
how
I
we're
saw-
finding out about it.
I
Like,
saw a tweet from an Austin official that said you've got MLS will do well here. You have our full support.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of backwards and forward and all over the place, and
Yeah.
it does.
I hate that Twitter's become a news source.
Well, and it just
The news source.
it screams rich people doing what they want to do, and I think for me this is kind of one of those situations where, as fans, we're torn because sometimes we feel entitled when we shouldn't be. I mean,
How so? I'm just
we're
curious.
I mean, yeah, we pay so much for a ticket, and we feel like the team owes us.
Oh, I got you. Like there should be some loyalty
Like
on their
there
part.
exactly. You want that, but there's nothing in contract that states that when you buy your ticket or your season ticket that this team is going to be loyal to you in return. Unfortunately, there are people out there who have no problem packing up a team and moving it. I mean,
Stan would never
unfortunately,
do that.
it's Kroenke is one of those ones that has done that. But I
Oh,
think
yeah.
for
all those
Stan,
things he did.
Oh yeah. Then there's
and this is
I
what
forgot about all those things he did.
this is what scares people is that because Stan moved the Rams, would he move the Rapids? People, no,
he forgot we were even here.
No.
So that's why
he's
The
not
reason
going to
he
move
moved
the
the
Rapids.
Rams
He might move.
was because of land. He already owns the land the Rapids are on.
bingo.
And he owned the lands the Rams were on.
And the Rapids are a money loser. for
And
him.
he also made it clear years ago when he first bought the Rams that he wanted to move them to L.A. He made it clear then that that's what he wanted to do. It was, something that people in St. Louis knew. They just had to prepare for.
Yeah, they were just in denial.
It almost sounds
how
like
long.
when this ownership came in and bought Columbus in 2013, some of the same things were kind of there. It seemed like there was a notion that he would have moved the team. That's why they put in there in contracts a clause to keep the team there within 10 years unless blah, 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 kind of like a major league scenario where, if the attendance falls below whatever, then he has a right to move the team to wherever.
Yeah.
Apparently he's got ties in Austin. So that kind of has it going that way. I don't think as Rapids fans we technically should have to worry about Stan up and moving his team. If you look at KSE as an enterprise, every one of those teams are here.
Bingo.
There's no sense of splitting that when it's all here. The KSE is not leaving Denver.
Nope.
It would take a lot, and if it did, he would take all three teams with him.
Yep.
Well, the best thing I've ever heard about Kroenke is that he can only pay attention to one thing at a time. I don't think the Rapids are going to get on his radar unless his son does it unilaterally.
Well, I just don't think in general that this is a team that is gonna move or worth moving. I mean, it's good or bad, however you want to look at it. I just don't feel like, I'm not going to guarantee anything because we know how that works when I do. But
please don't.
Well, and you got to look at it from not only it just seems like a very bad business decision for him, but on top of that, I think that Columbus moving is a poor decision on their part. It's not going to bring you a bigger fan base.
It's a smaller market.
The MLS just isn't
TV
like
market
you're not going to move it somewhere it's going to all of a sudden spark it. It's better to start a new team or bring a USL team. Moving an MLS team, I think, doesn't have the same effect.
Didn't Austin used to have a USL team?
yeah.
Was it the Toros or something?
No,
Now, the name I didn't know. but
Aztecs
Aztecs.
with an X.
It's a college
possibly.
town, and I mean, it is a.
XZ.
I could see
AZ.
soccer doing all right there, but I wouldn't necessarily
X.
think that it would do better than, say, St. Louis.
No way. No way.
So there are some other places
Sacramento.
there are some other places that I could see moving a team, even Charlotte, over Austin. But people and certain numbers, and apparently this owner would think that Austin is a better place to
Yeah,
go.
when-
But
when-
three teams in Texas? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
When their statement came out and they said that Austin was the biggest market,
I laughed my
doesn't
ass.
have an MLS team. What market did you say Austin
St.
was?
Louis, man.
according to the
TV wise.
the
The
TV
DMA,
markets.
yeah, that's the same. Media markets are the same.
They said I think Columbus was rated, the Columbus whatever area was 33 and Austin was 39.
So Austin is smaller. I mean, Vegas
Yeah.
is like 40, 41. So
Are they
why
really?
not go there?
Huh.
Yeah, when I worked in Vegas, it was 40.
Wow.
Things go up and down
Yeah.
at that level. But Sacramento's got to be bigger than 39 or 33.
I would think so. Especially that close to the Bay, the Bay Area.
Well, then you get into San Francisco's market. They take over that's why San Diego is 26 and LA is 2. Because LA encroaches a bit onto the Southland.
What
are
about
we?
Baltimore?
Anybody know what we
Detroit?
are?
Denver? Denver is about 16 or 18.
All right.
18, maybe.
Just curious.
Baltimore was going to have DC for a long time. They're going to have the stadium, but I don't know what's going on with that now.
I think they have started it.
Did
If I'm not
they?
mistaken,
Okay.
did a groundbreak, but don't.
That's got to be a replacement for RFK in the
Oh yeah,
making.
yeah.
Because
I mean,
otherwise,
the
how
whole
they're
thing.
still playing there, I don't know.
otherwise MLS has to eat all of its
Actually,
rules.
I think it opened. Yeah, I think it's gonna. If not 19,
So,
then 20.
Hypothetically speaking,
Anyway, blah.
they moved to Austin. Would that put them in the Western Conference?
Given the fact that LAFC is also joining the West,
Right.
I don't think they would move.
Somebody'd have to move,
You could move Dallas to the east. You can move Minnesota to the east.
or do you
if
move
you
Kansas
wanted.
City back to the
You can
east.
move, Minnesota,
Minnesota.
and
Minnesota
Dallas
would be the one to
could
do it.
both go to the east
Yep.
to make room for Austin and LA.
I
think
wouldn't
you're
do
right.
Dallas. Do you know what? I mean, Dallas has a handful of rivalries with every team in the West.
I mean,
Putting
Austin
them
and
in
Dallas
the East
are
would
right
be like
there.
when we were in the East. Did Colorado ever belong in the East? But we were.
Well, just for the playoffs.
But still,
Right. I know.
I mean, that's not. I wouldn't say that's applicable.
It's not that we were in the East; it's that we were further west than the team we played.
Yeah.
That's what was
exactly.
funny.
Yeah.
Of all the teams to put in the East, you picked the westernmost one.
Yes, this is true. Well, any other thoughts? I mean, the one thing that like I did see on Twitter, as you know, as Matt said, it's sad that we're using Twitter as news, but some of the theories and thought processes behind the Columbus thing is the Atlanta boom and how much that Atlanta has been able to bring in as far as attendance. And is it something where, because it's new and exciting and fresh, that it's pulling in a lot more numbers than something like, you know, say Columbus?
I don't know. Seattle and Portland have both sold out for years. Seattle for like 7 years straight. Portland does well. They're not new and shiny anymore so much.
Well, and they did well before they were an MLS team.
And they've had a handful of shit years too.
But they just have a culture that is soccer in both of those cities. That like it's hard to find that in most cities.
Anybody familiar with cities, Austin?
But also Atlanta.
I've been there.
Is there a soccer culture that's worth thriving off of?
There's hipster culture, you got to believe.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of an up and coming, but it's not.
I saw a comment saying it's the Portland of Texas.
Yeah, that's probably fairly legit. It's hot as balls in the summer. I mean, hotter than it's like Houston.
It's a fucking college town. And what else are you going to get out of it?
I would just like to point out here that in terms of the other Texas teams, in terms of attendance, Houston is in 17th and FC Dallas is in last. I think that's two pretty clear points to the idea that Austin would not be a good place for another
Austin is a completely different city. Like they said, it's the Portland
Texas is a state like we gave birth to Dempsey.
Texas.
We have national players here.
It's like comparing Pueblo to Denver, you know? Like, no.
Ooh, armpit.
Or we came up with Brett Shea. We have potential players here.
For my piece, I've always been worried about the Rapids moving. Even before I moved here, I predicted that as soon as I got here, they'd fucking pack up and leave right then and there.
They're just waiting for you to roll into town.
Yeah, I figured because I tried to follow them as best I could, not living here, and it's really hard. So yeah, I'm legitimately worried that these deals could already be in the making, and we won't know until the decision is made.
Well, we won't.
They have no loyalty.
Literally took
Kroenke doesn't have any loyalty to us.
The Rams not getting a new stadium to be moved. Like Denver will work with Kroenke. He owns so much property. If he could literally just go, I want that spot, and they would go, okay, build a stadium.
On numbers, though, on paper, we could sell out every game for years and still top out at like 17th, 18th, because our stadium is woefully undersized.
Just capacity.
It does not stand up to current
Now,
teams.
our stadium was originally designed allegedly to be expanded upon.
Yeah.
So, so is
Kroenke's
Portland's,
not
and they're
looking
actually
for
doing
that.
it.
He's looking from the business aspect. That's 18 games a season. He's looking at the soccer fields around that stadium that he rents out every weekend.
And allegedly he's going to move out Illich's to...
Think of how much money he makes off those
East Park.
3-day, concerts or fish shows or, string cheese or whoever could roll
Base
in
nectar.
there.
Yeah. Well,
Like
anyway.
he's more interested in the property than the team, and that property is great, especially since now they're starting to build up around it. Like that's just going to become busier and busier.
Well, all this was the stuff that they said was going to happen. It's just 5-10 years later than they said it was going to happen.
Isn't there a light rail stop coming out there, by the way?
That was one of those things that they said was going to happen.
I think RTD was supposed to run a shuttle or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I still have an unfounded fear of the rich guy club where they all go and compare their books and Kroenke's bleeding
And penises.
$6 million.
It's called
penises,
Walmart.
books in lieu of penises.
Yeah.
Hey, why
but
didn't I bring up
Kroenke is
penises?
bleeding $6 million a year on this team. And I'm worried ego's gonna drive something to happen more than anything else.
Well, we start winning, he won't be bleeding as much.
Oh, I know.
And I think they're making the right steps.
We the fans really have to start going.
Yeah, well,
that's a big thing right there.
I mean, I did my part. I've only missed the one game in 3 years, I think. That was 2 weeks ago.
If I miss them,
And I didn't want to, and I didn't enjoy myself. What I was doing instead.
Right. Hey, if I miss them, it's because I'm out of town, man. So, do we have any questions from chat that we want to touch on before we? Or wait, no, we're going to do Colin's Corner then.
We got Colin's Corner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do Colin's Corner.
Colin, come out of your
Or a
corner.
nice little graphic for Colin.
All right. Yeah.
Oh God, I am so worried for this.
Well, don't worry, dude. There's only 4 people
Are
watching.
you going
us
to wrap
live.
it?
Oh no,
My
it's getting
name
tweeted
is
out.
Colin, and I'm out of the corner.
Get yourself out of the corner and blow our minds with your stats.
All right. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to start this thing off with an apology.
Uh-oh.
I screwed up on the last Colin's Corner.
Fake news.
No, this actually happened, and I'm sorry. Last time I incorrectly said that Hairston had the most minutes. I was wrong. He is in 3rd place for minutes. Azira is in 1st.
That's what I thought.
So I am genuinely sorry for that.
So who's in
He
second?
has
He was
one
2 minutes
job
behind
on this
Eric
show.
Miller.
Yeah, Eric Miller.
Miller second.
Yeah,
Miller is second.
Eric
yes.
picked up about 10 more on him Sunday.
Miller's about 11 minutes ahead of Hairston.
We're going to write your high school and let them know you're not getting credit for
But
this.
you know what's
I think
crazy?
Miller's padding his time
The
card.
fact that Azira still led the team in minutes and he missed games.
Yeah.
And not
But
by choice.
I think if I'm not mistaken, Marlon's the only one that's played in every game.
Yes. I think.
I think I did read that, yeah.
Like he's touched the pitch in just about every game.
I think he's at 33 games right now.
Which
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, what you got for us this week?
Thank you for owning up to that, though, dude.
Otherwise, I would have thrown him to the bus.
Oh.
No, not really.
Anyways.
Write him up.
So, we're playing Seattle next week. And whenever I think of Seattle, I think of
Fraser.
basically ugly games.
Did you say Fraser?
I think of Daphne myself, but that's just, I'm straight, so that's the way that comes from.
Oh, nice way of calling it. All right.
I think of a turf field.
I was a Roz fan,
I
by
have
the way.
no idea what you guys are talking about.
Roz was way too skanky, and Colin's
Well,
like,
you're
what
only
I like,
14,
man.
though. You
Dude,
missed those
you got
years.
Netflix, right?
Well, yeah, but
Frasier. Look it up. All right.
sure.
The rails.
Yep. That's how I roll. Okay.
right
When
off
you
the
think
rails.
of Seattle,
Yeah,
you
I think
think
it's just
of-
ugly games because in my experience, I feel like Seattle plays a very, very physical game with a lot of tackles, a lot of fouls. So I looked
Dirty
into our fouls this year and something kind of a little frustrating came up. Where do you guys think we sit in terms of fouls committed?
Oh, hi, because the Priero hates us.
yeah, we got to be in the top 3.
We're way up there. Like
We are
the Pablo
the
tier.
top.
Number one?
We are we have committed the most fouls.
It's not
No, we've been.
Can we
we've
get a
been
can we
accused
get a
of the
trophy
most
for that?
fouls.
Because we need to win trophies.
It's a guy holding
We're
his
about
knee and screaming.
140 more fouls than the team with the fewest fouls committed.
Good God.
Which, oh, look at that. That just so happens to be Seattle.
Huh.
All right. And then let's flip this around. Where do you think we are in terms of fouls suffered?
Not very high.
Flipped around.
The way I just went off earlier, I feel like we're probably in the bottom 3.
Huh. Would you look at that? The least fouls suffered.
Oh my gosh.
I rest my case. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pro has it against
And
us,
then-
man.
And then where do Seattle sit? They're in about 3rd place for most fouls suffered.
Of course they are.
So we're basically looking at the exact opposite of what Seattle's facing right now.
It's just
And it's-
flooring. It just shows the glaring problem with pro.
Yeah.
Like when teams are on opposite spectrums.
Completely.
There's no way games are that bad. There's no team that fouls that much and doesn't get fouled.
And we're looking at this at the end of the season. This isn't like this is a stat 4 games, 5 games in. This is a stat fucking 30 games in.
This is a pretty big sample size.
This is the entire season.
Well, I actually have last season's stats as well.
That's why he's
do tell.
calling the intern.
Yep. It's
What say you?
it's close, but the numbers aren't exactly the same. we're sitting at about, I'm looking at this right now, maybe third place for most fouls committed, but I still think we're in the least fouls suffered. So not exact, but definitely close.
That's only because we had Jermaine Jones for 10 games, not 30.
Oh, God. Yeah. Then we would have been 250 difference between
Exactly.
first and last.
Mm. Yeah, it's rough. But another thing I wanted to look at is cards. So between the one game we've played against Seattle this year, the 2 playoff games from last season, and then the 2 regular season games, what do you think we sit at for cards?
Number-wise?
Yes.
And that was, what, 6 games?
5.
10 cards.
I'm going to go
I'm gonna
higher.
go with the baker's dozen.
I'm going to go higher, Bob.
16 yellows to their 1 yellow.
Oh, my gosh.
The last game we played, we
price
got
is
5
wrong,
yellow cards to their 0.
Oh, man.
They got
It's hard
1
to
yellow card
believe.
in the last playoff home game.
A team with Clint Dempsey could get 0.
It's
No cards.
with the homeless
And
guy
Torres.
in defense. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, what's his face?
Torres and who else? What's his name? The D-mid.
Alonzo.
Osvaldo Alonso.
Yeah.
That dude is the bigger hack than Diego Chara.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I want to bang my head on something.
Yeah. I was stunned
Scream
by this. 'cause
bullshit.
From my perspective, it seems like the last couple of times we played Seattle, they're always on a much more physical level. They're always trying to tackle. They're trying to get the fouls. But it turns out we're on the complete opposite side of that.
Tag, man.
Man, that's pretty glaring right there.
That's some shit right there.
Yeah.
Well, Brian's got a hard out because he's got regular life stuff to go. So since we're talking about Seattle, well, why don't we give you a chance to give us your pregame thoughts, final thoughts on the end of the season before you bolt out of here?
Yeah. I like the way we're approaching games. The downside right now is they're a little thin on bodies.
Yeah.
Watts is out. Williams is still questionable.
Yeah, he was in the infirmary today.
Gashi is.
Now he's playing fine.
Yeah, we've thought that every week.
Well, he said he was sick and puking.
Yeah. So, but
That's why.
and
he
then
was at the
obviously
MMA fight.
Michael Azira's out. New C38 friend of the podcast.
Right.
So we're thin on bodies again.
Michael Azir is also the man who holds the most valueless collection of autographs in the world.
I know, right?
You're right. That's true. That is true. He's probably at home trying to wash them off with hairspray or something.
It's like, what was I thinking?
I was
Ruined
just
a
trying to be
perfectly
nice
good
to these
scarf.
guys.
Yeah, I don't really like him. But I like the approach. I like the way they're playing. I know this makes me sound old. A little footloose and fancy free. You know, they're letting it all hanging out. And Cook's allowing them to do that and encouraging it. And I like the way, as of late, our defense has started to kind of come together, because if you look, and I think Eric Miller even said this RSL game, they finally played a couple games all together as a group. Marlon, Courtney, Axel, and himself. And so I think that goes a long way. So I feel better about our defensive prowess. So I'm going to give us a shot. I'm saying there's a chance.
At a
Draw?
Victory.
with a scoreline of
One more goal than our opponents.
all
I'm
right.
hearing 1-0 in Seattle.
That's doable. We've only done that twice there.
Roll up pair and give us score line.
I mean, unfortunately, we don't have Doyle to go score in Seattle again.
Right.
But, and by the way, I'm going to find a way to bring Doyle into every podcast from here on out. Just throwing that out there.
Well, we might be able to,
I heard a rumor that he might be staying in Colorado, so
at least for a little while. We'll have to see what happens. We'll see.
all right. Bye, Brian.
Bye-bye.
Mr. No Scoreline.
You're going to miss Know Thy Enemy, man.
Yeah.
It's going to happen right
I'll,
now.
I'll listen. That's all right. I'll listen like the rest of our fine listeners.
Now,
Don't forget, fans,
this moment.
tell your friends, bring a listener on. We need the numbers.
Yeah, bring them back, please.
Yeah, the future of the Rapids depends on all of us.
Yeah. And keep an eye on the website. We'll have some cool stuff from our end of the season interview here.
Yeah, we're doing some good shit coming up.
Oh, teaser.
Yo. All right. Later, dude.
Thanks, guys.
See you.
All right. So, moving forward, questions from chat. Mr. Chatmeister Man, Drunken Monk, why don't you go ahead and lead us?
I done told you
What?
that we don't have any questions from chat today. We answered them all.
Really?
Make them up so we seem
I
popular.
see San Jose
I
in the
I sent it in
playoffs.
Discord.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the chat.
You're killing me right now.
Yeah, that's what I do. I got to make your
Yeah.
life difficult.
All right. Well,
So-
it's Know Thy Enemy time.
All right, it is Know Thy Enemy time. Chat's
Matt,
boring.
do Matt things.
How dare
Matt
you?
things.
How dare you ask more of me? I mean, that
You
fucking
keep
rap
the
took
script,
me
is
all
all I'm
afternoon.
saying. I didn't know there was Matt things earlier.
There will always be.
I don't think the Matt things are secluded to a
Yeah,
certain
yeah. I was gonna
portion
say
of
there
the
will
show.
always be Matt things.
Matt
It's
says
just gonna
what-
happen.
Matt says what Matt feels like he needs to
Yes,
say.
that's how it rolls.
And therefore, thou know thy enemy. Like, who gives a fuck? I mean, it's Seattle. They've already clinched a knockout. I mean, a playoff berth, so they're only playing for a knockout round bye if they win. If it's a draw, they need Portland to lose to Vancouver, and they need Kansas City to lose or draw to RSL. Also, if Portland loses and Seattle wins, I think Seattle wins the Cascadia Cup then, though I haven't heard anything. Do they do that on points basis?
I would assume they do it the same way that we do. Yeah,
On goal differential?
Yeah.
Then I don't know.
yeah.
Then I don't know.
It's not something I've had to
But
pay
anyway,
attention to.
there's really nothing we can do that's going to affect Seattle, really, that
Not
I
this
give a shit
time.
about.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that we can do to Seattle that will really hurt RSL. So again, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So play for a draw. I don't care.
Cool. I mean, yeah, it's probably not the most epic Know Thy Enemy, but
Hey, I put all my energy into the other thing.
Yeah, I like
Sorry
the
if you
rap.
missed it.
No, that's fine. The rap is a little bit more. This is the final game of the season. It's an away game. It is against Seattle. And as Colin brought up, Pro is going to do everything they can to give Seattle the 3 points. And it's just going to look like a disaster show for the Rapids. And they're going to do everything they can to try to make a game of it. And if Brian's right, maybe they'll get out of there with a 1-0 win, kind of like we did with RSL. Because it's probably going to be, my guess, a replay of it. It's just going to be different colors on the pitch. But it's going to be kind of us versus
empty
the
face plants somehow. That's all I care about.
on turf too, right?
Right on turf, just skid mark across his whole face.
And then like looks up with dirt falling out of his mouth and says, "I hate manure." Also, I'm retiring.
I hate
guy.
manure. That's awesome. A little Back to the Future reference. That's even better.
Fun fact: someone told me that constant references to my childhood is a sign of depression.
Oh no, we're in trouble, dude.
That's just
Can
a
we all
little.
just talk about
so
Brian
some point out to me.
considering them for a win?
What do you want to talk about? Brian doing what for a win?
Brian thinks we're going to win there, and I'm hopeful. I'm always the positive one. Brian normally isn't, but they've only lost one game at home this season.
Yeah, but see,
If I remember right, we won in
That's-
Seattle last year.
right. Well, we've only done it
During
twice,
Playoffs, but
but
And maybe they rest some players because they've already clinched their spot and there's nothing really to play for.
there's a small possibility of that. But I also
They
feel
do
like
have the bye week to play for. I mean, they're not. They've also got pride. They've also got their homestand.
technically they're
Seattle
defending
fans don't have
champs.
pride.
We've got the thing not to. We've got nothing to play for. Literally, that it's our role to not have anything to play for this time. We've done the damage we're gonna do. There's not much else we can do.
And we've done well at spoiler. I mean, it's been 3 games in
Yeah,
a row.
we made it really difficult for Dallas. They're still fighting to get in
And-
because of us.
I mean, stop freaking thinking about the other guys. How awesome would it be if we could actually finish out the season without losing?
That would be great.
See?
And I think we have
There
a
we
good
go.
chance. I think you're
Well,
seeing
Dallas
a team
is playing
that's got
LA. I
momentum.
think we got a shot
but-
of beating LA.
and not being
They're
at the
playing
bottom.
LA at home.
I mean, we're not really even playing for a draft pick, are we? That's not really how it works.
I don't know anything about that stuff.
I want to see 3 points so we can end up above LA Galaxy.
Right? It wouldn't be nice.
At this point above DC United as well.
Yeah, 1 point will get us above LA most likely. But
Well,
so will 0 points most likely.
We're at 33 points. They're at 32.
Yeah, they played Dallas at home. Dallas is home. They played Dallas in Dallas.
And LA is stronger on the road than they are at home.
And how about Dallas at home?
Dallas at home is 727. Away is 386.
So they're in a tailspin, but this is LA.
I don't know, man. I'd feel much safer getting 3 points and calling it good rather than hoping we can tie and end up above them.
Hey, I'll take a hope 3 points on every game, but I'm trying to be realistic.
That's our job here. We try to be realistic.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't want to be total homers.
No, that's not my job.
We have a very good shot of getting in above LA.
That's not at all.
Well, properly speaking, if Dallas had actually
done their fucking job.
Well, I was going to say if they played to the rules of MLS and didn't have to do that BS fee for that stupid Orlando game, they'd end up a point below where they are now.
Let's all just cheer for San Jose.
Wait, what?
The only time I'll say it.
Didn't you hear about that?
Huh?
So, okay, a couple weeks back, Dallas played Orlando, and they had an issue with the starting 11 where they moved a player out after they had released the starting 11. They brought him back into the 85th minute, and under MLS rules, they should have forfeited that match. And instead, because MLS is going to MLS, they just gave them a fee and said, no point change for the game. Just give us money and we'll call it good.
Did they win that game?
And then instead they suspended Watts for an
must have
extra
drawn that game.
So what? They just went into Garber's pocket?
I'm not entirely sure, but I'm assuming it's
for
now
Garber
part of
bucks.
$100 million U.S. surplus.
Yeah, that sounds like MLS being MLS to me.
Yeah.
That shit skipped over me. All right.
Yeah.
That's a bit punk.
They only
but
tied Orlando, so it'd be a point less for them, and technically Orlando would end up with 2 more.
I suppose then, yeah, if
really
it was
gonna
3
make much
points,
of a
maybe
difference
more
here.
people would have made a bigger stink about it. Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
there you go.
So score predictions, I guess?
it wouldn't be a professional league if there wasn't some sort of corruption somewhere.
No, of course not.
I kind of said it earlier, and I'll go with Brian. I'll go 1-0. We pull another upset, and we just fucking do this. It would be awesome.
Colin?
I've dropped a lot
I'm
of
going
F-bombs
1-0
today.
as well.
Matthew?
I'm also going 0-1, but
The other way.
The other way around. I'm going 0-1.
Oh, man.
Boo.
I thought Draco was out of this cast.
I'm the realism guy.
There's got to be one Draco.
I don't know what
I'm
that
going to
means.
go
That's a Harry
2-1 us.
2-1 us.
2-1 us.
We got to get 2 goals.
And chat says 1-1 from Zima. He thinks we're going to tie.
Did he say he's
And
going to score?
Hub,
Is it Eigner again?
1-0 for the Pids.
All right, I'll be the lone dissenter. 0-1, and it's not going to matter. Because LA's going to lose as well.
Well, bummer. I mean, it's just bummer all around. I mean, it's the end of the season. But, hey, that does not mean that The Voice will not be casting and providing weekly shows because we do this shit in the off season. So, yeah.
If you want to be bored and talk about Harry Potter, come
No,
listen to us
no.
in the
Trust me.
off-season.
I'm working on some stuff where it's not going to turn into a Harry Potter cast this year. Not that it did
Screw
last year,
you.
really.
I want
but,
some Harry Potter discussion.
No, we can
I read
talk
like
Harry
4
Potter.
of those books, and I just
Next
don't-
week, we've
not
got the
interested.
Voices.
Yep.
Next week, wow. The season's not even cold.
Well,
Give us a little time to prep,
I was going to say you might need 2 weeks or so because Brian's out next week.
And
Although
then the week
In
after
the
that is
indeterminate
Halloween.
future, we'll have the Voices.
Apparently.
the future will hold the voices, yes.
Either you can take a fine or you can lose the game, and we're choosing the fine at this point.
Off button. Jeez.
My
Brandon
bad.
dying over here.
Yeah. Shit. Apparently there's some business, man, you want to bring up, yeah?
Yeah. So for the Sunday game, Remember, it's a Sunday, not a Saturday. The C38, will be doing a foot golf from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Park Hill Golf Course. Greens fees, which are going to
That's a
charity.
golf term.
That's a golf term. Fees to play
Means the cost of
are
weed.
$30.
That's a cheap quarter.
That's cheap, and it's also going to charity, so why not? There will be a C38 beer garden at the first tee. We will also be cooking breakfast and lunch. Breakfast from 8:30, or breakfast and lunch will go from 8:30 a.m. to 1:45 p.m.
Chicken and waffles.
They will have the Tottenham Hotspurs on at 9 a.m. at the tent, I'm guessing. $20 bottomless beers, and all-you-can-eat breakfast, and $15 for lunch, or get the full package for $30. And then they will be putting the Rapids game at 2 p.m. on the big screen at the clubhouse.
How much for the Uber ride home at that point?
Just pass out on the course. That's the way to go.
Right.
That's how the rich people do it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know. They pay to get that covered up. All right. Anything else, man?
That is all I have.
All right. Well, thank you for making it to the end of the cast. Everybody but one of us thinks that we'll come away with at least a point.
Fucking Brian.
Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media. Twitter at The Voice of C38. Facebook, again, at The Voice of C38. If you'd like to join us in Discord, just ask us for a link. Brendan, what is yours?
My link for Discord?
No, your Twitter.
Oh, yeah. It's the Dr. Voice _ C38.
Not even paying attention to the notes. Brian, you can find at MLS from 5280 on Twitter. Colin?
You can find me at the Ace Arbiter.
And you can find me at Drunken Monk _C38. And you can catch us live at Twitch/Drunken Monk C38 with no underscore.
On
So
Tuesdays.
We'll catch you all next week on Tuesdays at 4:30.
Later.